Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for May 20th through 23rd, 2022. Wow, really intense energies, huh? Coming off of that powerful lunar eclipse. And there seems to be a continual acceleration of energies, but at the same time, deep and profound delving into our subconscious and psyche with Mars and Neptune still close together in Pisces. So for the last week since this and through that eclipse, total Scorpio total lunar eclipse, the sun has been in square to Saturn. Now, Saturn in Aquarius is about Saturn in general is about the laws and the rules and the energy of our time and timeline and reality. And so in Aquarius, it's about trying to figure out our new laws and new rules in the Aquarian age and what is blocking that. Okay, so in square to the sun, though, the sun is who we are. So it's like what's blocking our true identity in the Aquarian age. And in this next chapter that we know is, we can feel that we're being massively, our world and our bodies and our reality is being upgraded, transformed, and just really powerful. Now, a lot of this has to do with Mars and Neptune together. And Mars is now coming off of that Neptune conjunction. They're still close. We'll be feeling that through tomorrow and through the weekend, really. But that means that Mars is coming to, right now, today, Mars is at 26 degrees Pisces and moving to the end degrees of Pisces. Now, these next couple of days, as Mars is at the end degrees of Pisces and in between a massive conjunction of Neptune and coming up to a conjunction with Jupiter, incredibly powerful. I am seeing and feeling supernova souls experiencing so much of like a complete reprogramming, upgrade, rapid transformation, where deep things are coming up from our psyche, deep griefs, deep emotions, deep programming, shame, all of it, you name it, it's blooming, and yet it's moving. Mars has this action energy, and it's like finally moving old stuck places. So the energy is like, feel those feelings, feel the feels, allow the tears to come, like just go ahead and stop running from these places of deep, profound grief that have been holding you back, right? But also don't hold on to that and attach to those energies of emotion, because everything's moving really quickly. So it's kind of like, well, I'm feeling right now, I'm going to just feel it, right? And it's going to move and I'm going to feel something else. And I was like, whoa, very, very powerful. I mean, we have this huge activation of fire and life force with Venus and Jupiter now in Aries. So Mars coming to the end degrees of Pisces, about to move over into Aries. It's like a massive recapitulation of the whole Piscean age, of this whole last chapter of astrology, of our personal planets coming into conjunction with Neptune and Jupiter and Pisces, all of it. And it's like, okay, now is your opportunity to really let go and be ready to move on. Now, there's a huge energy of, as Mars moves over into Aries, which is going to happen on Tuesday, that will be a very powerful explosion of energy. And Mars is the ruler of Aries. And so that energy is about claiming and taking back our power and our life force. Is there any way I could have it quiet for about 20 minutes while I finish my video? Just thank you. So this massive rebirth, soul rebirth energy of Mars and Jupiter coming together at 3 degrees Aries. So that conjunction is going to happen on Labor Day weekend. It's the 29th and 30th, the very end of this month. And that is a powerful energy of like all of this potential and all that's been suppressed inside of us, everywhere we've given our power over, and we need to take it back. And so Aries represents life and death, and the fight for life, the claiming of life, the incarnation of life. And so that is such a powerful energy that we are being asked to step into our power. Now, it's interesting because as this is happening, Mercury is retrograde. So Mercury made it to 4 degrees Gemini, and Gemini is about expression, coming forward with all this inside of us, like actually showing it to the world, not just bringing it forward for ourselves, but proclaiming it, and not hiding it anymore. The true light of who we are as advanced souls. So very, very powerful energy. And so it's an activation on a cellular level of this new timeline is kind of what it feels like. And so now the fact that we've got all this get up and go and all this Mars coming into his power and coming out of that darkness in Pisces and come on, let's go, let's get on with it. Mars and Jupiter coming together at 3 degrees Aries. Now 3 is a number of co-creation. 3 is like, let's take together our parts and make more than the whole to create a product, to create something from the exponential power of what happens when we come together, co-creation. Now, it's interesting because 3 degrees Aries in the Sabian symbols is an interesting picture. It's a cameo that shows the profile of a person that suggests the outline of their country. Well, that's kind of confusing. That's exactly Aries. Aries is trying to come into our identity. Who are we? The Aries is activated when they are recognize this power when the organism works together as a whole, right? Like the life force then can really thrive. That's how we create and co-create the world we know is possible. So we're being called to come together and co-create. And this is this whole energy. But this 3 degrees Aries is really interesting because the cameo showing a profile of a person that suggests the outline of their country. So there's an energy of like nationalism, which is actually a really important energy right now because we have had a massive agenda to go towards global control. And that requires us to stand up, and humanity to come together against this common enemy, quit fighting amongst ourselves, the divide and conquer, right? And be like, wait a minute, so when you feel you're a part of a greater whole, a community, an organism working together, then it empowers you into your best, right? But Aries has a powerful energy of, Aries is willing to go their own way and do it follow their individual fire. And that often leads to intense isolation, exile, loneliness, and it's kind of like, oh, this price you have to pay for going your own way. But that's not how we're doing it. We're going our own way. This whole evolution is about coming from the whole, coming into our individuality and taking that individual expression back to God consciousness. And so this Aries energy is super important because in that deep, profound isolation place, you can actually step right through because we know that isolation and loneliness and separation is a delusion, right? Because we know Aries has the truth that we are God consciousness and we are life force itself. And so then it doesn't make sense to feel separate and isolated and lonely, but this is the huge agenda we're in right now. I mean, it's clear with the whole lockdown scenario, right? But that seems to be the effect of the technological grids that are being, the false technological grids and energies that we're being exposed to. The effect seems to be a psychic quarantine, right? Like an inability to reach out and feel yourself as connected to something greater. And so isn't that wild? Mars and Jupiter coming together at this degree. And it's like, whoa. Because it's kind of like a flash of this cameo. Cameo is reflection. It's a shadow. It's what do they call it? Anyway, so this is whereas when you feel like you're working together as a team with the greater whole, what's going on with this activation is seeing where we fit into the bigger picture, that we're not just an isolated human walking around trying to freaking figure out how we got here and what in the heck is going on in this place and why it's so messed up and why we can't fix it and why we've been stuck here for so long, not being able to do anything about making the world, just having to go along with the program. This is all building up, but like when you see how you fit into the greater picture, of this, say your soul team, your soul group, your role, it might be way bigger than you thought it was. And that really fits the empowerment that's going on for supernova souls of like, shedding that skin, breaking that seed pod, coming into that bigger self, stop hiding. This is what this astrology is saying, And so this energy is about healing the delusion of separation and the answer to this tragic sense of isolation that is part of the human experience, and especially supernova souls. But now is when we overcome that. Okay. Now, the weird thing, part of this energy has to do with Black Moon Lilith is now in Cancer. And in Cancer, there's an energy of the mother, of course. We're looking at nurturing and our mothering and a connection and feeling nurtured and mothered on our connection to our feminine. And that's clearly where we've really gone off the rails in this evolution, right? We've had this very distorted dark mother feminine sickness, and we've got to heal this. It's exactly our wound of separation too. So Black Moon Lilith is the furthest away that the moon gets in its orbit, and it represents the deepest, darkest secrets and in our subconscious. So we're definitely dealing with this deep and profound wound of where we feel disconnected and trying and allowing ourselves to be received and receive the blessings and bounty of this world so we can get together on the co-creation process, get going on it. We can never do that while we are living in this wound of alienation and isolation. So how do we come back to that garden? Because I can tell you that there's some real clear, we know that there's a whole energy around separation between those that are serving their self and those that are interested in serving others, right? But if you want to have true compassion and true service to the greater good and the greater whole, it actually requires ultimate selfishness, because if you're not whole and complete, if you're not receiving the garden, how can you offer that? And this is where supernova souls have been so stuck for so long because we don't know how to receive. So we're healing that connection, coming into our connection with our great mother, coming in the earth and new earth and feeling loved and held and a part of something, right? So this is about landing a timeline of the co-creation of new earth, this Jupiter Mars conjunction at 3 degrees Aries. And what a powerful way to end the month. But at the same time, so we got this get up and go, we got life force, we got you can't hold it back anymore. It's like the suppression, the jack in the box. It's like, ooh, all that you wanted to say, all that you wanted to do, all that you wanted to express is just rising to the surface and boiling in the Aries fire, But then we have a Mercury retrograde. Now get this, Mercury is retrograde still in Gemini, but about to move back into Taurus. And that happens on the 22nd. And so just in a couple days. So this is really powerful because just as it goes back into Taurus, it's crossing the sun that's going into Gemini today. So this is a huge energy of meeting at 0 point, And Mercury retrograde is always a rearranging of our psyche. And in this case, it has to be like, it's about why and who are you and what are you doing in relationship to your expression of your greater truth. Because this issue of submission and silencing of the voice of the feminine, the intuitive, the mystical, magical, beautiful, the garden and the mother, right? It all comes back to that. But it's also our potential within us. So, Venus has been with Chiron, and that's just, they just came off their conjunction, but it's huge, the wounds of the feminine where we've given away our power. Each of us. I'm not talking about men and women. I'm talking about masculine and feminine. So the feminine within, each of us is our intuitive, emotional side, and the part of ourselves that becomes codependent or manipulative to try to get our power back. And this is a massive empowerment of the healed and whole feminine, right? And we got to heal that wound with our mother and take back and receive again from this world. And so Mercury Sun conjunction, just as at the cusp of these energies of Taurus, our permission to have what we need and feel worthy and valued and our self-worth, and then our expression and being able to bring out what we have inside of us into the world. So it's really intense to have this huge activation, but then Mercury retrograde and be like, oh, no, not quite yet. So what happens when Mercury turns direct? Mercury turns direct on the 3rd of June. So it'll be right on the heels of this Mars-Jupiter conjunction. We'll still be feeling that up till that point. And then, but it doesn't come out of retrograde shadow until June 18th. So we're going to be having these incremental activations of this energy as we come out of Mercury retrograde and into this maybe major Aries explosion of power and life force and direction. So it's like we've got this huge surge, but it's not until Mercury really is moving and going again and coming out of shadow that we're really going to see what that means. Now, interesting, that's going to take us right into the energy of, July and August are really powerful culmination of this year because Uranus will be catching up to the North Node. And that Uranus North Node conjunction is a complete redirecting and activating of our life and our path and our timeline. And we'll be feeling that through July and August. And so this is kind of this, as Mercury comes out of retrograde shadow at the end or the middle of June, moving into that energy of Uranus conjunct the North Node. So actually, the first week of June, we also have Uranus is conjunct Pallas Athene. So this is really powerful because Pallas Athene is an asteroid goddess representing justice and blind justice and the feminine, the power of the feminine to fight without fighting through negotiation and through strategic warfare, kind of using your intuition. So Uranus is an activation energy, right? It's a higher vibrational frequency. So it's like whatever Uranus comes into, it activates. So it's like activating the Pallas Athene in us that wants to fight for this world to be more just and true and fair. We can't go on this way. We are advanced spiritual beings living in a soup of corruption and destruction. It can't go on. Something's got to give. And the energy is just building and building and building. And it definitely has that energy of like the suppressed organism getting ready to fight for life, to come together and use all their resources to throw off that dis-ease. And here, this is what we're doing here on the planet. So it's like that divine timeline landing home in this massive activation of our potential and coming together as a greater whole and, working, understanding that we're in a spiritual war and claiming back our power and our sovereignty. So much is June is a very, very powerful month. So the next couple of days, we've got the main thing is Mars at the end degrees of Pisces, and then moving over into Aries early next week. And that will be a huge shift. So use this next few days, this weekend, to really release and go into that place of the subconscious and be like, it's scary, it's dark, it's alienated, it's alone, it's abandoned, it's, just all of the deepest wounds of all of our lifetimes in this particular lifetime, deep infant stuff, right? Like early childhood stuff, like just so vulnerable, but let it all come up to move, because we've got to lighten the load. And it feels heavy, but it's about, we're actually releasing and healing so we can get lighter and get on with it, So use this time wisely. Don't be attached to it, but let the tears flow. What I'm seeing is almost like a whole reprogramming, like it almost looks like a light show in the field. And you go to these places of acute suffering, or places where you've gone before, but you ran from it, you didn't complete it. It's like still hiding in your subconscious, but it's like this, almost like a plasma. The way the energy is moving is so powerful, and can just move out that old energy and move in a whole new pattern. And this is like the light show. And so it's very powerful. And it's bringing up massive physical, Mars rules our physical body. So there's huge detoxing energies going on. And our psyche and emotions, everything with the Pisces energy is just like everything's moving. And it's the deepest, darkest places. And so, because, dark to light, that's where we are right now. And moving into coming together as an organism to work together for life and the world that we know is possible. So incredibly empowering times. And thank you so much for being with me, Supernova Souls. Don't miss this. Be present. It's all just like, it's all culminating and coming to a head. And I don't know that it's necessarily going to be calmer or better, but it's going to maybe feel better because it's going to be different and less stuck, and you might have more direction and more support. So just know that we're on the cusp of great change. And it's like, what an interesting energy, because it's like the sun moving forward, and crossing over Mercury, going backwards, and we're stuck at 0 point. It's a good place to be. Just go to 0 point and be present with these incredible energies and these incredible times. So good work, Supernova Soul. This amazing revolution is happening. One picture I've seen is that we know that there's been a spiritual war going on, and we're a part of it. We don't even know what in the heck, but we're playing a massive role, but it's kind of hidden from humanity. And it's like, if you really look, and you can find it, right? And it's like beyond the veil, but it's almost like shrapnel from this war is falling down into our reality. This is what the picture I'm getting. And it's kind of like, and then you're like, well, this doesn't fit into our world, right? And it's almost like that's bringing the disclosure of advanced technologies, and very interesting time as we get to this place of disclosure. So many lies and so much lies and deceit our whole world has been based on, and the sky is falling. It's like, we're kind of like, wait a minute. And then once you see a piece of the puzzle, like say that piece of technology that doesn't fit into our world, or it makes sense, or it makes our history or science not work, and then you can't put those pieces back together. Once you take the red pill, it's like you can't go back to blue pill. It's like you could try, but it's like you can't unknow what you know. And this is what's happening right now. It's like chunks of another reality are falling into our reality, and they don't fit in our reality, and so it's making it all crumble. And weren't you born for, didn't you come? You're here for these times, right? Times such as this. You were made for this. So this is the shift we're in, of going to victim and oppressed and targeted and attacked, and, just barely making it through, and isolated, and into like the spiritual warriors that we are, and coming together and amplifying our power in vibrationally holding what we know is possible. That's this landing of the timeline, seeing our place in the bigger whole, and taking our part, our bigger role in the greater picture as well. So it's a powerful time. It's hard to even say what it really means, but it's fun to explore. So thank you for being with me on the journey, and I look forward to seeing you on that next update. Till then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.